Every guy at school worships Mikodashi like she's the final boss of beauty. Her face card never declines, her style is flawless, and her confidence could solo a country. No man dares resist her charm, except one. Enter Yonakura, the most ordinary, unbothered guy alive. While everyone else goes full caveman over her, he just yawns and reads his book. His indifference drives Mikodashi insane. How dare this background character act immune to a certified baddie like her? Determined to prove her supremacy, she throws every trick in the playbook, flexing her looks and best angles like she's running a modeling campaign. But no matter how much she tries, Yonakura remains unshaken, treating her perfection like background noise. Now it's a battle of pride versus apathy. Mikodashi's relentless attempts to conquer him with beauty, and Yonakura's refusal to even flinch. One side is tweaking over rejection, the other side is just trying to live life in peace. A beautiful girl is walking down the hall, and two boys lock onto her like they've never seen a woman before. Their necks almost snap from turning too fast, and their eyes are glued like dollar store binoculars. She struts right up and asks what they're staring at. They mutter a rude sorry and walk off, but the truth is written on their faces. They're low-budget cavemen who just unlocked the seeing a baddie achievement. Their inner monologue is basically fireworks. They just saw what they call her best scene, and now they're acting like they witnessed the Super Bowl halftime show live. As they leave, she throws a parting shot, saying they're immature boys who'll be playing with her tonight. In her head, she's convinced it's not even their fault. After all, she claims she's perfection itself, flexing what she calls the best view in the universe. In her world, no man alive can ignore her face card. She's the final boss of beauty, and the raid party hasn't been invented yet. This self-proclaimed goddess has her eyes on a lively boy from the class below. She peeks into his classroom and stares at him with intent, but her gaze drifts to the lonely Yonakura. While she's leaning through the window, Yonakura glances up, catching sight of her symbol of confidence hanging proudly. She instantly assumes he's locked in on the view. Meanwhile, her cake is bouncing like it's got its own fan club, and some background boys are basically frothing at the mouth, cooking up lewd ideas like it's their group project. Yet Yonakura just stares blankly, and that lack of reaction makes her furious. In her mind, her beauty is supposed to have Ris 100, so how dare this guy resist? She even wonders if his equipment is broken. She swears she can make any man fall just by existing, so this one guy who doesn't fold feels like a personal insult to her entire legacy. She can't let it stand. Yonakura is the only player in the game who refuses to simp, and that makes her angrier than spoilers before the season finale. Meanwhile, Yonakura is calmly helping another girl with class duty. She thanks him, and he brushes it off, saying there's no need. The girl leaves for home while Miss Perfection is still watching like a hawk. Seeing him react politely to another girl but not her has her foaming at the mouth. She storms over, demanding to know who this girl is. Yonakura, unfazed, asks Mikodashi-senpai why she's even here. She snaps back not to give her that tone, saying she's here because he's here. He points out that doesn't answer the question, and she loses it, yelling that he ignores her while turning red for some random girl. Yonakura deadpans, asking why she even bothers with him, wondering aloud if she's secretly in love with him. Mikodashi shoots it down, claiming it's just his ignorance that drives her crazy. Then she goes full dramatic mode, offering to make his heart skip a beat, saying even if he falls, she'll never fall for him. She demands to see his blushing face, but Yonakura holds in a laugh, and when he finally chuckles, she short-circuits. She insists something must be wrong. How can a cute girl like her be talking to him, and he's not even sweating? That's when he drops the nuke. Looking at her makes him want to throw up. She freezes, but instead of taking the L, she convinces herself he's just playing hard to get. Mr. Denial himself. She pushes harder, flexing her beauty, her scent, her entire existence like it's a three-pronged attack of love. In her head, she's hitting him with sight, smell, and sound. She swears no one survives that combo, but Yonakura just ignores her with the focus of a monk on airplane mode. She can't accept it. She yells that it's impossible after all her beauty, affection, and charm. How can he feel nothing? She accuses him of being broken, soulless even. Yonakura just stares back, calm as ever, and asks if she's done yet. When she tells him to wait, he says he doesn't even want to stay. Desperate not to lose, she asks about his type. She hates asking directly, but she hates the thought of quitting even more. After a pause, Yonakura says flat out that as long as it's her, there is no chance, no matter what his type is. Then he walks off, closing the door behind him. Mikodashi trembles in shock, her ego cracked like a cheap screen protector. The idea that a guy just rejected her face card feels like a war crime. Her shock boils into rage, and she starts throwing names at him in her head, already plotting how to flip the script and drag him down. The school bell rings, and as always, Mikudashi walks the halls like it's her personal runway. Compliments fly left and right. She's so cute, she's so beautiful, and she soaks it all in like sunlight. In her head, this is the natural order of things. The world praises, she receives. But her smile cracks the moment she remembers the one guy who refuses to fold. Yonakura still won't even glance her way, and just the thought makes her blood pressure spike. She swears she'll make him fall for her, even if she has to pull off the wildest side quests to do it. She sits there, confused about her next move, until a genius idea hits her. Meanwhile, Yonakura is actually focusing on class, buried in a mathematics book like a normal human. The bell rings, and as he flips a page, a piece of fabric slips out.
What?
He stares at it, annoyed, because he already knows where this is going. From the window, Mikodashi pipes up, asking what he thinks about her little present. The class instantly zones out, gawking at her from behind the glass like pervy cavemen at a zoo exhibit. She adjusts herself just enough to give them the best scene, and they treat it like free premium. Mikodashi keeps pressing Yonakura, saying there's no way he can stay indifferent to her beauty. When he picks up the piece of fabric and tucks it away, she nearly cheers. In her head, this is proof her plan is working. She convinces herself it's not that he ignored her charms before, it's just that he's a small stick guy. Now, letting him hold on to her belongings is her ultimate victory. If he takes them home, that means her face card has officially conquered him. Later, the bell rings again, and Yonakura heads to his locker. He opens it only to find another piece of fabric stuffed inside. His face says it all, pure disgust. He slams it shut, sighs, then reopens it, and reluctantly picks it up. Of course, Mikodashi is right behind him, catching the whole thing. She smirks, saying he planned to sneak it home, and teases that he must know exactly who it belongs to. Then she flips her hair and announces that the one looking down on him is none other than her. Yonakura's patience snaps. He bolts down the hall, but she chases after him, shouting that he can't run from her. Finally, he stops and turns, his expression stone cold. He tells her it looks like the person who dropped this also dropped 3 other things. She blinks, confused, so he spells it out: morals, shame, and decency. The class clown routine collapses in an instant as he slides past her like he just landed the final blow. He adds that of course he knew it was hers, but if she thought he'd actually bring those things home, she's delusional. He says he doesn't want them anywhere near his house and shoves them back at her. Mikodashi is left frozen, her confidence crumbling. Once again, she couldn't make him look bad. If anything, she's the one walking away roasted. Mikodashi shows up at school in clothes completely different from her usual look. The hallway freezes. Everyone starts whispering like, wait, is this some transfer baddie from another grade? Face card never declined, but today she's swiping it like black Amex. Meanwhile, inside class, Yonakura is too busy stressing about his missing novel to notice the drama. He's digging around like he just lost his save file before the final boss. Then Mikodashi herself walks over and hands him the book. Yonakura lights up. Finally, his novel is back. But the joy fades as soon as he looks up and realizes who's holding it. Senpai smiles and says she's glad he found it, like she didn't just hijack the whole quest line. Yonakura blinks at her new look, admits she seems pretty different today, and she casually drops that he forgot his book at school yesterday. He thanks her, but she immediately switches gears, asking if he's free after school. Yonakura shrugs, saying he guesses so, and she goes straight for the dramatic setup. Can they go out together? She blushes and says she has something to tell him. He doesn't reply right away, so she tilts her head, teary-eyed, asking if that's a no. Bro is just sitting there like, how did this turn into a cutscene? Finally, he says he never said no, and she instantly leans in close, whispering that she'll be waiting for him after school. The bell rings, and the two of them leave school together. Yonakura can't help but point out that she doesn't seem like her usual self today. Mikudashi stares straight into his eyes and nervously asks if that's weird, and for a split second his heart skips. He immediately scolds himself in his head, "Don't fold now, this is still senpai, she's plotting something." He tries to dip out, saying he'll head the other way, but she grabs his arm and insists he stay. Next thing he knows, they're sitting in a cafe together, looking exactly like a couple. Mikudashi sighs and says it feels fun, maybe even a little too perfect. Yonakura thinks about how she's always plotting to make him fall for her, but part of him sees this softer side too. He shakes the thought off, calling himself an idiot. No way he's catching feelings. This is still Mikudashi senpai. He swears he can't let himself fall in love with her again. Then she calls his name, and her expression looks dangerously close to a confession. He instantly recognizes the setup, straight out of a light novel scene. Mikudashi leans closer and closer, and his brain is screaming, "There's no way this is happening, right?" Just when he thinks she's about to drop her love bomb, she whispers in his ear that she can't believe it. His body tenses, but then she smirks and says he's so indifferent she thought he wouldn't react to her beauty, but he did. She reveals she used his favorite light novel as reference material, copying the scene just to bait him, and she brags that it was super easy. She mocks him further, asking if he actually thought this would end with a love confession. She laughs, saying this will never happen, then roasts him outright. "What part of you is even remotely attractive? How does it feel now?" Yonakura is stunned, realizing she planned the whole setup. He mutters that she's the wrong person, and for the first time, it's not even anger, it's disappointment. Mikudashi catches that look, smiling bitterly, and tells him not to pity her. She says she hates those genuine eyes, and demands he never call her the wrong person. School day starts, and as usual, Mikudashi has her eyes locked on Yonakura like a sniper with no chill. Another day, another attempt at cracking the guy's poker face. Just as she's mid-glare, some random girl interrupts her with the audacity of existing. Mikudashi, caught off guard, panics, because apparently asking "Are you looking for Yonakura?" is the same as asking for a duel. Her panic levels spike even harder when she notices this girl rocking Yonakura's gym uniform. That's right, his uniform. To Mikudashi, this is practically a war crime. She doesn't even bother being subtle and immediately labels the girl a bad one. Bold talk for someone who's literally been flexing her assets at half the school. Then Yonakura strolls into class. Mikudashi immediately drags him into the drama like, "Hey, look at this scandal." But Yonakura, who could win gold at the Olympics for not giving a damn, tells her there are bigger issues than cosplay theft. Instead, he calmly checks if the girl, Hanachio, is just pulling another classic oops, wrong uniform moment. Spoiler, she is. Hanachio apologizes, all sunshine and soft-spoken, which makes Mikudashi's blood pressure spike even harder. That's when the penny drops. Hanachio is the same girl who had class duty with Yonakura the other day. To make things worse, Hanachio knows Mikudashi's name already. Mikudashi, who survives entirely on being that cute senpai everyone whispers about, short-circuits at the idea of someone normal knowing her name without introduction. Hanachio calls her ordinary, and honestly, that single word might as well have been a nuke. Mikudashi looks at Yonakura, expecting him to deny it. He doesn't. Man's spine is made of steel, just calmly leaves her stewing in it. Mikudashi immediately flips the Uno card. She's not ordinary, he is. According to her, only a fool would ignore her face card. Meanwhile, she keeps raging at Hanachio until the girl caves and gives back the sweater. Mikudashi doesn't even let her off easy, snapping that only she is allowed to play the make Yonakura fall game. Hanachio just returns the sweater, bows out gracefully, and suddenly it's clear Yonakura acts sweet with Hanachio in ways he never does with Mikudashi. And that burns her soul worse than cafeteria curry. Unable to accept this, Mikudashi drags Yonakura away like she's kidnapping him for a lecture. She tries cornering him into admitting something, anything, about Hanachio. She even pushes him to spill what he would have said to her back on class duty. But Yonakura's running maximum firewall defense mode, because deep down, he knows Hanachio's best view was wide open that day, and saying it out loud in front of Mikudashi would be the equivalent of pressing the self-destruct button. He decides to protect Hinachio's dignity, and more importantly, his own sanity, at all costs. Of course, Mikudashi doesn't give up. She leans in close, acting like an interrogation lamp, insisting he'll regret it if he stays quiet. Just when the tension hits max, Hinachio strolls in again, totally oblivious, asking if Yonakura is still hanging around. Mikudashi tries to stop her from leaving, but Hinachio turns and, yup, her best scene makes another cameo. Instant chaos. Yonakura's eyes nearly pop out. Mikudashi loses all sense of pride, and Hinachio just looks confused like, do I get hazard pay for this? Hinachio hides herself in embarrassment, mumbling about not having any extra fabric on her. Yonakura, deadpan, notes that she did it again, which only fuels Mikudashi's jealousy furnace. Out of desperation, Mikudashi throws herself into the mix, basically shoving her love in Yonakura's face like, "What about this then?" His response? He straight up vomits. Full physical rejection. Mikudashi screeches, demanding why, while Hinachio watches on, somehow convinced these two psychos get along so well. Mikudashi shows up at Yonakura's house like she's Amazon Prime delivering chaos. She rings the bell, Yonakura opens the door, sees her, and immediately shuts it like, "Nope, package rejected." She calls him out for hiding, and he explains he's sick and skipping school. Mikudashi, acting like Florence Nightingale with an ego, insists she came to bring him the lessons he missed, which is already sus because they're not even in the same year. Girl really forged her way into his syllabus just for an excuse. He finally cracks the door again, dizzy from his fever, and she swoops in. She points out his blush, he sways on his feet, and before he can clap back, he just keels over, passed out cold. Honestly, this man's immune system saw Mikudashi and said, "Nope, we're logging off." When he wakes up, she claims he fainted from happiness at seeing her. Yonakura, still half dead, mutters that if that were true, he'd already be buried. She waves it off, saying her lap pillow revived him. Bro denies it, but she doesn't care. She's already decided she's his nurse, his teacher, and his main quest all in one. Meanwhile at school, she'd actually gotten the intel from Hinachio. Hinachio casually mentioned Yonakura was sick and even offered to deliver the class printouts herself. But Mikudashi, competitive to the core, wasn't about to let that happen. Chance to look bad at him or not, she was taking this mission solo. Back in Yonakura's house, Mikudashi's relaying all this like it's some heroic tale. Yonakura just sighs, apologizing for her wasted effort. Then the doorbell starts going off like it owes somebody money. Mikudashi, nosy as ever, bolts for the door. Yonakura, knowing disaster's about to spawn, begs her to wait. She laughs, teasing him about what kind of package he ordered. Yeah, because bedridden guys definitely spend their fevers ordering suspicious deliveries. She ignores him and opens the door anyway, only to freeze. It's Mom Shizu. Yonakura's mother has entered the chat. Yonakura staggers down the stairs, still sick, trying to explain that it's not what it looks like. Mikudashi's panicking so hard she basically forgets how to brain. The whole vibe goes nuclear awkward. Mom quiet, son defensive, Mikudashi spiraling. At one point she even convinces herself she can't hear the mom talking, which only makes it worse. Eventually, Mikudashi tries to dip, but Mom Shizu politely thanks her for the trouble, the classic mom hospitality buff. Yonakura, embarrassed beyond saving, mutters that Mikudashi didn't come to help him, she only came to make fun of him. Mom asks what he means and he doubles down. No, seriously, that's all she does. Senpai finally leaves, shaken, muttering that this whole thing was scarier than she expected. Running into the family wasn't in her script. And, as karmic timing would have it, she sneezes on her way out, because of course she caught his fever too. Shizu, Yonakura's mom, all but dragged him out the door to go thank Mikudashi. He didn't get why he had to play the grateful patient, but here he was, walking to her house like a man on probation. On the way, he scrolled through his phone, rereading Mikudashi's messages. According to her, she was sick because of him, like catching his fever was a buy one get one deal. When he arrived, she opened the door looking way too smug for someone allegedly dying of illness. First words out of her mouth, that it was his fault she was sick, so now he had to nurse her. Yonakura shot back with peak deadpan. Was it a fever or a mental illness? She waved off the insult and insisted her parents weren't home, so it was fine for him to come in. Yonakura hesitated because honestly, this had future lawsuit written all over it, but she cornered him until he agreed. Halfway through nagging him, Mikodashi went wobbly and nearly fainted, so he had no choice but to help her to her room. Lying in bed, she secretly thrilled at the thought, Yonakura is actually taking care of me. Usually, he mocked her without mercy, but now he was fetching things, checking on her, doing everything she asked. In her head, she declared it was time for the final push. One more move, and he'd fall for her. At least, that's what she told herself. She called him over and demanded her belongings back, then threw in a gross chore for him to do. He agreed without much fuss, which threw her off. He even told her she should be honest more often. She perked up and asked if that meant he liked her real self. He shut that down immediately. Of course not. It was annoying and exhausting. But, he admitted, he did feel partially responsible, so she should hurry up and get better. That tiny crumb of kindness had her spiraling. Clearly, this was love. Convinced she had him on the ropes, Mikodashi called for her final play. She asked him to help her with the front as well. Yonakura mentioned he was just using a fabric to clean, which made her snap. Why use something so dirty on her? He calmly explained that it didn't matter since what he was cleaning was already filthy. She froze, realizing the roast was aimed directly at her, and started tearing up. Trying to recover, she pulled out a net mask dramatically, asked if that was what he wanted her to wear, and told him to always remember this. Yonakura wasn't amused. He told her to stop prancing around shivering like a fool and just go to bed. She, of course, misread it as him wanting her to dance. When he barked at her to cut it out, she finally relented. The next day, her fever was worse. Turns out, forcing a romantic showdown while half dead wasn't the galaxy brain plan she thought it was. Mikodashi shows up glowing with her usual confidence, announcing to herself that today the cute Ibari-chan has returned to the scene. But her ego speedruns straight into a stomachache. Suddenly, Miss Face Card never declines. Looks like she just lost the PIN number. She tries to brush it off and tells Yonakura she remembered something urgent, basically code for bathroom speedrun any percent. For once, she's the one trying to dip out, but Yonakura actually stops her. The one day this man finds his backbone, it's to hand her a thank you. He thanks her for nursing him before and hands her a cold drink. Sweet gesture, but wrong timing, she's fighting a civil war in her stomach. She complains it'll make her worse, but then he also pulls out jelly his mom made. And in her head, she's spiraling. To her, that jelly isn't dessert. It's backdoor food symbolism she didn't need while clenching for her life. Today of all days, Yonakura decides to cosplay as a wholesome shoujo love interest while she's trying not to explode. Then Hinachio wanders in, the human embodiment of wrong place, wrong time, and asks Mikodashi if she's up to her usual nonsense again. Mikodashi snaps instantly, like Hinachio committed a war crime by existing. She even accuses her of being uncorrected from last time, and then drags up the piece of fabric saga again, like she's on reruns. Hinachio just smiles and casually admits she forgot to fix her uniform earlier because she was plucking flowers. Mikodashi, clenching and roasting at the same time, corrects her. It's picking, not plucking. Grammar police while her stomach's staging a coup. Yonakura, finally catching on, asks if her stomach hurts. Mikodashi, prideful as ever, refuses to admit she's mortal and declares Ibari-chan would never suffer stomach pain. Bro literally catches her mid-waddle and still she's denying it. Hinachio tells her to breathe, and Mikodashi claims it's only for big tasks, which, considering the situation, she wasn't wrong. Yonakura suggests she go to the nearest bathroom, but Mikodashi complains it's too far, insisting she'll hold it. Hinachio casually drops that the women's bathroom is under renovation. Mikodashi nearly cries on the spot. The pain's bad enough, but finding out the devs removed her safe zone patch notes late, that's cruel. Hinachio offers the men's bathroom upstairs, saying she can't possibly hold it. Mikodashi, fueled by delusion, vows she can control herself and prove it isn't impossible. Meanwhile, Yonakura decides enough is enough and says he'll stand watch if she just uses the men's side. So off they go. Mikodashi stares at the men's bathroom like she's entering sacred forbidden territory, but seeing the toilet sparkling clean actually calms her soul. Yonakura checks inside, finds it empty, and waves her in like a bouncer letting a VIP through. She steps in, muttering about how it's just a regular toilet, except this one is shining like Excalibur waiting for its chosen. Outside, Yonakura warns her to hurry since people are coming. She refuses, saying she can't rush nature, and then it happens. The first sound effects hit, echoing out of the bathroom like a horror movie jump scare. Mikudashi, mortified, tells herself she has to act like a pure girl. She begs them to step farther away so she can unleash without witnesses. Of course, fate isn't kind. A group of random boys walk by right as she reaches her limit. The noises echo again, and the boys outside are instantly traumatized, wondering what kind of cursed demon is haunting their bathroom. Every burst makes them more confused, while Mikudashi feels like she's lost part of her dignity. But once it's over, she's refreshed, lighter, calmer, reborn. The rumor mill doesn't see it that way, though. By the end of the day, the whole school is whispering about the demon haunting the men's washroom. At breakfast, Yonakura's mom casually stirs the pot. She asks if the girl who visited recently wasn't that perfect middle school student council president. Yonakura, deadpan, tells her she's got the wrong person and pieces out before she can start matchmaking fan fiction in her head. On the way to school, he runs into Mikudashi, and she greets him in true senpai fashion, roasting his face for being ordinary again, like it's a crime not to look like a K-drama lead. She pokes at him for always reading his book, and Yonakura shoots back that she's annoying and asks what she even wants. Mikudashi hits him with the nothing-at-all card, classic manipulator move. Yonakura counters by reminding her of reality. Everyone at school is talking about a demon haunting the boys' toilet. Mikudashi realizes her bathroom boss battle has already gone viral. She brushes it off, saying it doesn't matter, but the damage to her legend is done. Then her attention lands on the girl on Yonakura's book cover. She claims the girl looks like her. Yonakura is floored, says she doesn't have a single thing in common. Mikudashi presses, "What about the eyes?" And Yonakura loses it, yelling that they don't look remotely alike. She instantly plays the victim card, saying he's scaring her, then sheds fake tears like she's auditioning for a soap opera. Yonakura sees right through it, but when she smiles immediately after, it's clear. Crocodile tears, speedrun. She taunts him, asking if he doesn't have any comforting words when a girl cries in front of him. Yonakura replies that the only words he's got would probably get him cancelled, so better left unsaid. He asks why she always has to be like this, then suggests she leave. Mikudashi twists it around and asks if he really cares more about his book than her. Without hesitation, he says yes. Brutal, but honest. Mikudashi storms off, saying he's changed back into his cold self. Yonakura claps back that maybe she's the one who changed, but Mikudashi insists she's still the same Ibari-chan she's always been. Pure delusion mode activated. Yonakura, fed up, announces he's going to the washroom and leaves before she can rope him into another circus act. Kue Henichio, who pops up right after. Yonakura asks if she's even aware of where she's standing, but Henichio ignores the jab. Instead, she says she overheard his talk with Mikudashi and asks if they've known each other long. Yonakura admits they went to the same middle school. Henichio, curious, asks if senpai was always like this. He drops a bomb. Nope. Back then, she was actually respectable. Flashback, 2 years earlier, a younger Yonakura was flopping academically. His teacher told him straight up he wouldn't graduate at this rate. Grades had been tanking, and to top it off, he'd been sneaking his phone into school, which the teacher confiscated. The teacher urged him to get his act together and set some goals. Just then, a girl walked in carrying neatly ordered documents. The teacher thanked her warmly for always helping out. That girl? Mikudashi Senpai, student council president. Yonakura still remembers that first meeting vividly, the moment she entered the frame of his life, back when she was student council president instead of the demon king of the boys' toilet. Yonakura is just trying to walk down the school hallway in peace, but of course Mikudashi is shadowing him like a side quest he never accepted. She keeps poking him about why he got scolded by the teacher, and he's doing his best to ignore her, basically walking faster like stranger danger. He wonders why the student council president is tailing him at all, and finally tells her he's got no business with her. Naturally, she grabs his hand and drops the bomb. She wants him to help with student council duties. He's stunned for a second. Then she explains it's because the teacher told him to find a goal, and apparently working for her counts as character development. Yonakura asks if helping her really equals finding a purpose, and Mikudashi admits she's got no proof, but hey, better than doing nothing. Then she pulls out the ultimate bargaining chip, his confiscated games. If he helps her, she'll make sure they get returned. She really tried the side quest reward tactic on him. He side-eyes her bragging about how trusted and respected she is, calling her out for hyping herself up. She just shrugs and says it's true. Yonakura doesn't see why she picked him of all people, but she basically says she felt like it. When he asks if it's okay to strong-arm him like this, she just flexes her authority and says it's fine. And just like that, he's roped into the student council. Time skips to the sports festival where exams are finally over. Yonakura casually asks if she's planning to top the grades again, and Mikudashi surprises him by saying it wasn't as easy as he thinks. She points out that he's changed a lot since joining the council. Last year he was a total flop. Now he's got some actual achievements. She even teases him about not sneaking games to school anymore, and he admits it's because he has to set a good example now. Mikudashi calls him out for sounding like a different person, then asks if he's aiming for the same high school as her. He admits he is, though he's not confident. She boldly says she'll be waiting for him there. Her confidence floors him, and before he can stop himself, he blurts out that she's cute. Mikudashi, suddenly shy, denies it and tells him to quit, but he keeps pushing, calling her caring, pretty, cute again. Finally, she asks if she made his heart skip, and he admits she did. She smiles, thanks him, and Yonakura realizes he finally found his goal, getting into the same high school as her. He thanks her for changing him, for giving him something to aim for, and says he wants to stay by her side, even though he knows it's reckless. Flash forward, he actually makes it. Against all odds and everyone betting he'd fail middle school, Yonakura gets into the same school as Mikudashi. He's ecstatic, sprinting around like a man who just beat the final boss. He finds her, and she greets him warmly, thanking him for boosting her confidence before. But then she tilts her head, admits she realized she's even cuter than she thought, and asks him how he feels about her beauty now, literally giggling and striking poses like a TikTok thirst trap. Yonakura's joy collapses instantly. He's furious, convinced it's his fault she transformed from the vulnerable, inspiring senpai he admired into this full-blown narcissist. He yells that it's impossible for someone to go from zero to perfection overnight and begs for the old senpai back. Yonakura suddenly asks senpai what is so off about her looks, and the question makes the air a little awkward. He thinks for a second, then points out that when she first showed up, she had pins all over her clothes. But as time went on, the number kept dropping like a mobile game losing players. Curious, he presses her about it, and she nervously replies that she just owns a few with slightly different designs. Mikudashi, quick on her feet, smoothly shifts the topic before things get too deep. That's when Mikudashi cracks a joke about how their names sound. She says their names are almost too simple, then adds that Mikudashi basically means to look bad while Ibari translates to arrogant. Without missing a beat, she turns to Yonakura and says his name just screams lonely, doesn't it? They all laugh, and Hinachio gets dragged into the joke as well. Mikudashi keeps laughing like she just dropped the funniest one-liner in the group chat, and Yonakura fires back by saying Ibari can also mean something that isn't right. Yonakura boards the school bus with Hinachio, who's practically glowing at the thought of being on the same team. She's buzzing about Kyoto like it's Disneyland, but then admits it feels a little lonely without senpai. Yonakura just shrugs, good riddance. He says she barges in on him enough already, so her absence is a blessing. Hinachio side-eyes him, asking if he really doesn't feel even a little sad. He doubles down. Nope. The peace and quiet is proof enough. Naturally, that's when peace dies. Mikudashi makes her grand entrance, strutting in like she's the bus tour guide for the day, all smiles and good morning, everyone. Yonakura nearly drops dead on the spot. Of course she's here. She even throws in a line about him not loving her in front of everyone, like she's cosplaying a forbidden romance subplot nobody asked for. Yonakura wonders why not a single teacher has clocked her for being, clearly a student. One girl does blink and say Mikudashi looks familiar, and without missing a beat, senpai lies that she's Yonakura's homeroom teacher. The girl stares like she's trying to scan her with facial recognition, but Mikudashi panics and points outside, yelling, "Look, junkyard scenery!" Half the bus actually turns their heads to check, but when they look back, poof. Mikudashi pulled the vanishing act. Yonakura eventually spots her hiding and yanks her out, but she fights back, saying if she gets caught, the whole trip might get cancelled. He asks why she even bothered showing up, and she tries the classic "I missed you" excuse. Yonakura's blood pressure spikes. She really thinks that's cute? He just wants the trip to survive, not to hear her monologues about how nothing works without her. By the time Hinachio pipes up to announce they're almost there, Yonakura decides he'll just go with the flow. Mikudashi guilt trips him for leaving her behind when she already went last year anyway. The students file out. Yonakura grabs his suitcase and nearly herniates himself. Why is it so heavy? That's when the truth hits. He unzips the bag, and sure enough, Senpai crawls out like some kind of stowaway Pokemon. Dude can't even freshen up without finding Mikudashi respawning in his luggage. Chapter 11. Yonakura asks Senpai what she's doing here, and she pouts, saying he's leaving her behind, which is not okay. Yonakura fires back that what's really not okay is her straight up stalking them on their school trip. He says he's going to get fresh air and tells her to find a way to leave before he returns. Senpai shakes her head, saying she didn't come all this way just to turn back, and she knows he's secretly happy she's here. He tells her to just go, but she stands her ground. While he's still arguing with her, his friends walk in, asking what took him so long. They see Senpai sitting there and look at the sheet like it's a whole crime scene. One of them jokes that Yonakura must be hiding a monster stick under there, which doesn't match his usual zero riz energy. Yonakura stammers, saying to wait a second. He'll be coming soon. His boys grin, thinking he's planning to keep going while they're watching, and they tell him not to rush. They even hand him their belongings, tell him to air out the room, and bounce like wingmen who already signed off on the situation. Yonakura stands there, baffled at whatever nonsense they're implying, then gets ready. He tells Senpai again to leave somehow, but when he lifts the sheet, she's knocked out asleep. He sighs, gets up, and goes to freshen up. When she briefly opens her eyes, she just glances around, realizes where she is, then rolls back over to sleep. Later, as he does his morning tasks, Yonakura wonders where she wandered off and if she made it back safely. Yonakura sits in class thinking Senpai has been acting weird lately. She hasn't shown up at his classroom since the field trip, so maybe she is busy studying for exams. Honestly, as far as he's concerned, it just means he can enjoy school life in peace without her chaos breathing down his neck. Hinachio asks him what happened during that trip, especially when he grabbed Senpai's hand and disappeared with her. He says she is reading too much into it, nothing happened. He only hid her because he thought it would be a pain if Sensei spotted her. Hinachio shakes her head and says there is no way it was nothing since Senpai has avoided him ever since, meaning she must have something on her mind. She promises to ask Senpai herself next time, indirectly of course, so he doesn't need to stress. Before leaving, she advises him to be a little kinder to Senpai, and he just tells her to keep herself hidden. On his way home, Yonakura suddenly spots Senpai standing nearby and freezes. She asks what he is doing there, but he says it should be his line. He explains his parents are out, so he has to buy his own dinner, and she casually tells him to just eat the roadside grass. He sighs and asks why she always has to be so mean. When he asks her why she is there, she says her mom isn't home either, so they are in the same boat. He admits he is glad she is okay since he hasn't seen her recently, and half jokes that he thought she might have vanished. She snaps back that she is standing right in front of him. He goes to buy some karaki because they look good, and she offers hers. He refuses, saying he just thought it looked tasty. Senpai, of course, convinces herself that he secretly wants her half-eaten one and overthinks it like he is down bad for her leftovers. She stays quiet, but her silence isn't calm. Inside, she is spiraling, thinking about how he talks to her so normally when she is the one losing her balance. Meanwhile, he is low-key, thinking she looks cute when she finally shuts up. He walks away saying he has dinner to prepare, but she calls after him and asks him to cook for her too. In her head, she wonders what is wrong with her, while he wonders the same thing out loud. She yells at him to shut up, then reassures herself that she is still a beauty admired by everyone, so she cannot possibly let some ordinary guy beat her. Determined to flip the script, she demands he cook for her. He asks if she hasn't already eaten, but she says whatever she ate earlier doesn't count because his cooking will outshine it. He teases her again about serving roadside grass, and she snaps at him not to mock her. They shop for groceries together, though Yonakura makes it clear that once he finishes cooking, he is heading home because his little sister needs food too. Senpai teases him, asking if that is his type, then offers to be his sister instead. She even acts it out, saying she exists as his little sister. Yonakura can't handle it and thinks he really can't talk to her normally, even when Hinachio begged him to be nice. Still, he admits he is glad she seems back to her old self. When they reach her house, Senpai acts strange unlocking the door, so he asks what's wrong. She mutters that the door is already unlocked, even though her mom shouldn't be home yet. Right then, the door swings open, and her little sister steps out, casually asking if Yonakura is her boyfriend and if she is interrupting. Senpai freezes, shocked, completely caught off guard. Ibari-chan gets shocked and instantly covers Yonakura's eyes, scolding him not to look at other people's sisters like he is some side character in a bad rom-com. Senpai asks her younger sister, 1, if she wasn't supposed to come back tomorrow, and 1 explains that she was worried about leaving her alone. She didn't expect Senpai to take the chance to drag her boyfriend home. Senpai panics, saying he is not her boyfriend and they don't do anything like that. 1 ignores her and invites Yonakura inside, while he says he will just make dinner and leave. As Yonakura talks to 1, he suddenly starts blushing, which makes Senpai suspicious. She demands to know why, but he quickly denies it. He tries to excuse himself since 1 is home now, but 1 insists they have enough food for 3, so he should stay. In the kitchen, Yonakura asks Senpai how much salt to add, and she shrugs it off, telling him to just put whatever feels right. He sighs and tries to excuse himself again, but 1 urges him to wait. Confused, he asks why they are staring at him so strangely. 1 casually says that's exactly how they should be looking while he cooks, as if he's the main event. Yonakura doesn't get it, but finally the pasta is ready. He thanks 1, but bluntly points out she doesn't cook well. Senpai quickly hands him her dish instead, telling him to enjoy it. He stares at the plate and points out it is literally the same thing, since they made it together. Why would it taste any different? Senpai pouts and admits she can't cook, so that's why she has to ask him for help. She orders him to hurry up and serve his dish, and when he does, the girls eat it in awe, both shocked at how good it is. They can't even understand why it tastes so different. Yonakura shrugs and says he should leave now, but 1 thanks him sincerely for helping Ibari-chan. He brushes it off, saying it's nothing, but she continues, claiming Ibari always talks about him, how he looks at her with loving eyes or tries too hard to act cool. Yonakura, flustered, admits there's a little truth in that. 1 smiles, saying it makes her happy to finally meet him and see what a wonderful person he is. She mentions that Senpai never said things like this in her first year of high school, so it must be because she was happy to reunite with him after middle school. Then 1 hands him a cream and suggests he use it to make dessert for Ibari, but he refuses flatly. He thinks something is seriously off with these sisters. Maybe they are just built abnormal. He apologizes, saying his little sister is waiting, and starts to leave. But 1 grabs his hand and begs him to wait a little longer. He refuses again, and she blurts out, "Just the tip is fine." Yonakura freezes, utterly confused at what she even means. Before he can react, she tries to hold him back, and the 2 of them tumble to the floor. Right then, Senpai walks in, glaring, and says she knew he was like this, that he doesn't even care about her sister. Yonakura, completely blindsided, asks what on earth she means by that. Ibari's sister tells her to hurry up or she will be late for school, but Ibari snaps back and tells her to stay quiet because she is still angry. 1 asks if she is still upset, and Ibari pretends not to know what she means. Her sister reminds her that she literally dragged her beloved Yonakura-kun home, but because she was there, things got messy. Ibari quickly denies everything, saying nobody in their right mind would love that guy, and even if he did love her, she would never love him back. 1 pokes anyway, asking if she is worried about him, and Ibari starts blushing on the spot. 1 smirks because no one blushes like that unless they are pressed. She points out that Ibari would not talk about him so much unless she actually cared. Then she goes for the kill, asking if it is really because she wants him to like her. Ibari immediately denies it, but the way she fumbles basically screams guilty. At school, the bell rings and Ibari walks toward class. She spots Yonakura ahead and instantly gets mad at herself for feeling conscious of him. Instead of playing it cool, she ducks behind cover like she is on some Metal Gear mission, convinced he will see her back and try to talk. But Yonakura steps out of the class and catches her anyway, asking if she is here again and if she is still upset about her sister. Ibari refuses to face him, telling him not to look at her, and storms off. He is left speechless. wondering what he did wrong this time. Meanwhile, Ibari fumes in her head, replaying how he once called her cute, but then had the nerve to act cozy with her sister. She curses her sister for even asking that question earlier and says it messed everything up. Yonakura decides he needs to talk and stops her, saying he knows she has been acting weird lately. Then he slips and says, well, she is weird to begin with, and tries to explain himself. Ibari flips out, yelling that it is his fault for saying something weird. Yonakura is caught off guard and asks if she is talking about him. Ibari blurts that she means the fact he called her cute, but she mumbles so low he cannot hear her. He asks her to say it louder, which just makes her panic more. She asks if he wants her to act normally, and he calmly says yes. She steps close, trying to prove a point, saying it is not like he didn't enjoy it after all. Then she freezes mid-thought, realizing she has no idea what she is even trying to prove. Yonakura looks at her, confused, and asks if she is feeling sick because her whole mood keeps shifting. She ignores him and instead looks at him, calls him an idiot, and stays mad. Yonakura sighs and asks what her actual problem is, thinking she almost seemed like a pure girl for a moment, which feels ridiculous. He decides to head home and tells himself to stop thinking about why he thought Ibari looked cute earlier. But as he walks, the thought creeps back. Maybe he actually does find her current self cute. He laughs it off, calling it a bad joke, but then immediately blushes as he admits to himself that even her quiet moments look adorable. Bro is in full denial arc, catching feelings for the same senpai he used to roast, and now his brain is tweaking like he just unlocked a forbidden rom-com route. Hinachio feels eyes on her as she walks through the school hallway, and when she turns a corner she runs into Ibari. She greets her politely, then immediately asks if she came here just to mess with Yonakura again. Ibari reacts in a completely different tone than usual and asks what she even wants from her. Hinachio notices her expression and asks why she is making that angry face. Ibari fires back, demanding to know what she means by this angry face. Hinachio lights up, saying it is like Ibari finally started seeing Yonakura as a partner and is wondering how to approach him. Ibari clicks her tongue, irritated that someone as unreliable as Hinachio can hit such a good guess. She mutters that there is nothing special about it anyway, and insists she didn't even come here to see him. Hinachio reminds her that it is not normal for a third year to be standing outside this room. Ibari snaps, asking what right she has to decide what is normal and what is not, while Hinachio just tilts her head like she cracked the whole situation wide open. Hinachio points out her uniform next, saying she actually wore the proper one for once. Ibari shrugs, saying she does it every once in a while, as if it is some grand accomplishment. Before she can add anything else, Yonakura shows up, calling out for Hinachio and telling her to hurry up because they need to head to the next class. Ibari freezes in shock when she sees him. Hinachio grins and teases Ibari, saying Yonakura came here just for her, but Ibari immediately snaps back, calling her an idiot. She insists he only came to drag Hinachio to class, nothing more. For a brief moment, all three of them just stare at each other like they got caught in a low-budget love triangle. Hinachio suddenly remembers and says that Yonakura mentioned having business with Ibari, but he denies it outright. She winks at him, lying through her teeth to force the situation, and tells him to go make a deal. Yonakura sighs and says he doesn't care about that. Hinachio keeps pushing, insisting he should talk to Ibari, then shoves him forward so hard that he stumbles and crashes right into her. They both hit the floor, and Yonakura accidentally gets the best view package and even squeezes the softest melons by mistake. Ibari shoves him away instantly, flustered beyond belief, while he apologizes awkwardly for the trouble. Hinachio, not letting it go, pushes him right back toward her again, while he protests and tells her to stop already. He clearly doesn't want to play along, but she refuses to quit until something happens. Finally, Yonakura turns to Ibari, asking if she is really going to let this continue, while Hinachio beams like she just set up a new couple. Ibari snaps at her to stop forcing things, yelling that persuading them to be together is pointless, and Yonakura walks off. Hinachio bows her head and apologizes, but Ibari brushes it off, saying it is fine because she never wanted anything from him anyway. Hinachio steps closer, still curious, and asks if Ibari needs something from her, since she looks like she is holding something back. Ibari sighs and admits she really can be smart at the weirdest moments. Then she asks her if she knows anything about the situation with the third years. Hinachio's eyes widen, and she blurts out if Ibari is going to repeat the year, then even celebrates the idea, saying it would be great because she could spend more time with them again. Ibari scoffs, saying she will ignore that and claims she has no idea what Hinachio is even talking about when it comes to graduation. Hinachio stares at her in disbelief while Ibari awkwardly tries to explain herself. At this point, Hinachio is basically running matchmaking schemes with the energy of a kid forcing Barbie dolls to kiss, while Ibari is trying to deny feeling so hard she is speedrunning delusion %. The homeroom teacher tells everyone to finish up with their career path survey. She'll be gathering with them soon. Hinachio sitting in the corner wondering about how her senpai was looking so sad. She remembers the weird face she was making, the always so confident Sam, at a loss for words. She then turns to look at John, wondering if he really knows how she feels. She closes her eyes in frustration, trying her best with her matchmaking assignment. She's so focused on getting them together that she can't even remember what she said. She starts scratching her head furiously, as if looking for lice, wondering what was she supposed to tell John. She racks her brain over and over again, and it looks like her brain cells are having a battle royale inside. John whispers, asking her if she's okay, and she blurs out that she's just trying to remember. John wonders what is she trying to remember and looks away nervously. It turns out that the window to her cake is rolled up, putting it on display for everyone to see. And surprisingly, she doesn't even care, because there are more important things than her dignity. John wonders, how can anything be more important than protecting her peaches? He tries to change the topic, passing her the questionnaire and saying that she must pass it to the front. She looks at the questions and wonders what did she hear from the senpai. She looks at the piece of paper and asks John if it's really true. John, on the other hand, tells her not to wait and not to look at other people. She finally remembers that senpai told her that she'll be going to a different college than John. She comes up to Sam. Sam asks her what school John will be going to. Hinachio blurs out that she remembers that she wants to go to different schools, and Ibari can't believe that she forgot. But as she already knows about it, she shouldn't make such a fuss. Hinachio wonders what is she going to do, because they'll be separated and a little matchmaking project won't come through. Ibari looks away saying that nothing can be done, he's been studying his hardest since middle school, so it's natural that he'll go to an Ivy League college. She turns to look away, saying that he's too dumb for her. It's a good thing that smart guys go for dumb blondes. She turns away saying that she just wants him to keep working hard, and Hinachio smiles, saying that she's cheering him on even though they won't be together. For the once shallow Ibari, this is major character development. She even powers saying that he's going to college that's beyond her level, so it's natural. He needs to continue working hard. Hinachio all of a sudden starts yelling, asking if she's okay with it. They both pause for a moment, and Hinachio wonders if she wants to go to the same school as Yonakura. But Ibari tells her to stop getting her hopes up. She'll take the admission exam this year while they still have a year to go, and it's always too late. She was too busy. Having this school, a nice show of her assets to study, and now it's too late. Ibari is troubled, and yes, that it's not too late. The two girls lock eyes as she says that she's hurt that he studied so much so he could go to a higher level school. But does she really want to go to the same college? Ibari looks away, clearly not stoked about burying her face in books instead of pillows. But Hinachio yells that she needs to come through and be with him. She even strokes her ego, asking her to look down on him once again. It looks like something stares within her, and she throws away her sweater, ties up her hair, and once again puts her assets to display. Just like that, bam, she's in full thought mode again. She smiles, telling Hinachio that she doesn't need to tell her twice. She just needs to watch how she will look down on Yonakura. She then dashes away and creates a sphere of chaos by yelling out Yonakura's name. She once again approaches him, standing by his desk and saying that he's been awfully cheeky lately, looking down on her, and is he ready to witness how she is when she's serious? The graduation ceremony is just around the corner, and all of the students are gathering around. Ibari is also holding a poster, which might be her degree, with how shiny it is. Hinachio congratulates her on graduating. Surprisingly, she managed to graduate, and what's even more surprising is that she's wearing proper uniform. Ibari smiles, asking her if she's trying to pick a fight or something, and she can't tell if she's doing it on purpose. But her friend changes the subject and asks her how her test went. She pauses for a moment and says that she doesn't know, but Hanachio says, based on the mock exams from the Tokyo University, she's pretty much guaranteed to pass. So maybe that's where she will go. Ibari can't believe it. It looks like Hanachio has both beauty and brains, and it's sad that the same can't be said about her. She turns to look away. She's been thinking that she was an idiot, but it looks like she's a real nerd. Hanachio asks if she's talked to Yonakura, and she says that she hasn't, but he called her. This is a surprising turn of events, as Ibari says that this is where she's going. Yonakura is waiting around a school ground, and someone covers his eyes all of a sudden and asks him to guess who it is. He immediately grasps that only senpai can be so freaky. She wonders if it's because of her body that is shaped like a guard, or her voice that is sweeter than a siren. Yonakura is oblivious to both of them and wonders if it's because of her uniform. It looks kind of different, and she says that this is the one she's most used to. But Yonakura tells her it doesn't matter, and Ibari asks him what he wants to talk about. Maybe the big confession moment is around the corner, but Yonakura breaks her hopes, saying that it won't happen in a million years. Ibari is taken aback and wonders what is the reason for this little meeting. For a delinquent loser, he's sending a lot of mixed signals as he whips out a bouquet, congratulating her on graduating. Ibari can't believe the kind gesture he's showing and wonders if he's plotting something instead. But he says that if he would do that, he wouldn't be a man. Bro accidentally raised the baddest of them all without even trying. He turns to look away, saying that that's what he wanted. She must do her best in university, and that's the least what he wanted to tell her. But she quickly grabs his arm, and he wonders what is going on. She asks him if he loves her, and Yonakura is taken aback. But she starts teasing him, saying that he even got her a bouquet, and he's been acting weird lately. So what is it? Is he finally fallen for her? She looks at him with hope, shining in her eyes. Yonakura pauses for a moment and tries to change the topic that she was wearing a different outfit that time. And why was she flustered? Her face is as red as a tomato, but she yells that it's his fault for calling her cute. She looks away, saying that already a dozen of boys tell her that she's cute, but his compliment was different. It was during the school trip, and it wasn't sudden. Yonakura argues that he's always thought that she was cute, ever since middle school. Seriously, bro, make up your mind. Ibari looks away in guilt as he says that she didn't even notice his compliments back then. And if he worked so hard to enter the same high school, it was to see her. But when he finally did it, she didn't acknowledge him, and she shouldn't be showing her assets to anyone but him. It looks like bro wants to colonize those marshmallows. Yonakura all of a sudden apologizing, acting like he owes her, but she starts teasing him that he's an idiot and a beta male, holding on to his V card. She's not his girlfriend or anything, and has no right to tell her what to do, and she's cute. She can't ignore the men around her. She smiles, saying that it's her turn next, and he needs to keep his eyes peeled. Hanachio wonders how his studies are going, and Yonakura smiles, saying that he's making steady progress. He says that he must have done well on the mock exams, and if he keeps it up, it shouldn't be a problem. Yonakura just nervously nods. She says that she also did nicely at the mock exams, but Yonakura reminds her that she needs to take a look down. It looks like she's fleshing the whole mob. She looks at her shirt, and it turns out it's unbuttoned. But she's not too disturbed by it. She explains she wore it because she had a swimming class today, so it's fine to flash someone when you're in your bathing suit. Even Yonakura tells her that it's not the school-assigned one, she needs to be more careful, but she says it's a replacement for her undergarments since she forgot them. She turns away, saying that it's been months since Ibari has graduated, and it's a bit lonely that she hasn't contacted her, but Yonakura says that he doesn't feel lonely. He smiles because he knows what to do next. Hanachio smiles and turns away, realizing that her work here is done. Yonakura looks at his report card and the calendar. As the months roll by, he scores perfectly on every test he stumbles across, and his mother takes care of him with the occasional snack break so that he doesn't burn himself out. When it's finally the big day, he's cheered on by his family to do his best, and he smiles before he turns to leave. He notices his phone ringing, and it turns out it's Hanachio telling him to do her best. All of a sudden, Ibari arrives, as naked as the day she was born and only wearing an apron. It turns out it's not Ibari, but her sister. What is up with this family and their hatred for normal clothing? He wonders why she's dressed like that, but she says she was just in the kitchen and didn't notice what she was wearing. Yonakura wonders how can someone not notice something like this, and she looks away, saying that she forgot to wear clothes. Yonakura tells her that it's a bit strange to forget, wearing pants at least, and wonders why she's in such a hurry. She explains that she has a message from his senpai that she's waiting. He smiles to himself and she turns to leave, telling him to forget about her and go. She also smiles, knowingly, telling him to do his best. Yonakura smiles, telling her to wait for him. He will definitely make it. The cherry blossoms around his house start to blossom as spring arrives. He looks at them fluttering as Hinachio waves enthusiastically at him. She's a bit changed, and it looks like it's been a time skip. She greets him and, amazingly, she got accepted into the Tokyo University. She wonders about the entrance exam and smiles, but he says that he didn't think that anyone would forget their entrance exam. Hinachio wonders if Ibari has contacted him in any way, but he replies that it's not. It turns out, speaking of the devil, she messages him, saying that she's waiting at the entrance. He smiles and dashes away, looking as happy as a kid who's handed full-size sneaker bars on Halloween. He starts sprinting towards the university, realizing that he's in love with someone who's been with him since middle school, and he wanted to see her really badly, so he applied to the same high school. He finally arrives and looks around, wondering where she is. Even though she must have changed and is different from when she was in middle school, he's still in love with her. He smiles and notices Ibari waiting for him at the entrance, wearing a beautiful dress and rocking shorter hair. She teases him that it's been a long time. He must have been lonely, not seeing her. Yonakura just sighs, wondering if there is any change in this girl.